is going to be my May wrap-up video. I read 3 books in the month of May, which might not sound like a lot compared to what I read sort of the month before, but these are 3 quite large books. They're all hardback, so let's jump right into it. The first book I finished was We Must Be Brave by Frances Leaudette. This is actually a signed edition, which is very exciting. I picked this up when we were in Waterstones at Piccadilly back in March. And this is centred around a 20-year-old woman who lives with her husband just on the outskirts of Southampton during the war, and there's obviously bombings going on and people are being evacuated. And one day our main character Ellen is on the bus when she finds a small young girl, and no one is claiming her as their own, so she takes her to the nearby village once they reach their destination and tries to reunite her with her mother. We pretty quickly early on in the book find out that this young girl's mother was actually killed in one of the bombings, and the story surrounds Ellen and her husband taking in this child and other evacuee children, and how they're dealing with the war, dealing with this new member of their family, what they're going to do with her. Is she going to stay long term? This book did sort of grip me in at the start. Obviously the location of it is very close to home for me, and I enjoyed reading about Ellen's character. I was a bit shocked to find out she was 20 and her husband is actually 40, so like initially you don't really notice that there is any age gap, and then they mention it and make a point of it, and it's like, oh, okay then. And you realise how young she is to be dealing with all this, to be in control of like 4 children, and being, you know, a housewife looking after the home and these children, and also, you know, working alongside her husband. As this book went on, I sort of found it myself losing interest in it. The book didn't quite go necessarily the route I would have liked it to have taken. This young girl actually ends up going to live with her father, and there is a period of time where they're corresponding between letters, and I just felt at times this book was a little slow, a little drawn out. I think I only gave it 3 stars. Let's have a look. I gave it 3.5 stars. Yeah, so I was slightly disappointed towards the end. I felt like it was just a bit slow. I wasn't really involved in the characters as much as I was at the start. Yeah, that's what I'm going to say on this book, but I would recommend picking it up if you're interested in sort of wartime books. The next book I ended up reading was 9 Perfect Strangers by Liane Moriarty. She is the author of the Big Little Lies series. This was one that I'd been meaning to read for a while. This is also coincidentally a signed edition as well. And so I was really excited to go into this book because I know I liked her writing. I've read a couple of her books now, and I know that they can be very sort of fast-paced and just really quite gripping. I ended up giving this book 3 stars. I did enjoy it. I really enjoyed the plot line. So basically it starts off with this one main character, this woman, who ends up in the first chapter, it opens up with her having a heart attack and being, or a seizure, and ending up having these paramedics around her. And then it fast forward to this other woman who ends up going to this retreat, this nice house in the countryside, where she's promised, you know, wellness and all these different health benefiting things, and the woman that runs it is the lady that had this seizure, and it turns out one of the paramedics actually is working there as well. But it takes on, you know, the different characters of the 9 perfect strangers that are all there for different reasons to this facility. So some are there, you know, to lose weight, some are there for marriage counselling, some are there because, you know, their job has failed essentially. And so they've all gone to this retreat to hopefully find something magical that's going to change their life. From like the first couple of chapters in, once they're at the retreat, you can sort of tell something's not quite right. Something's a bit iffy about this place. Something's just doesn't settle right. And that really intrigued me. You know, don't get me wrong, I probably really enjoyed the first maybe 3/4 of this book. But just like towards the end, it just fell a little flat for me. There was moments in this which I thought was obviously really good. I think the last sort of quarter of the book, it really hyped up, it really stepped up, it was very fast paced, but something just wasn't there for me, and I'm finding it hard to describe what was missing because I don't really know, but I just would have liked it to have ended a bit better. Like the ending kind of felt a bit like meh, everything's going back to normal now, you know. So, and like after having all like the twists and turns like towards the end, at the like seeing how all their lives wrap back up, it was a bit like, well, that's that then. Whereas I think in the past, Liane Moriarty, she's very good at the end tying up the end of the book. You know, in Big Little Lies and a couple of the other books that I've read, but this one, I don't know, I really wanted to like it so much, and unfortunately it's just sort of like a standard like good book for me. So I read those two and they were like meh, okay books. Then I ended up reading this one, which was probably the most surprising and that I enjoyed the most, and this is The Lido by Libby Page. I have literally just finished this today. I gave this book 5 out of 5 stars. So we're ending the month on a high, people. This is about, mainly set from two women's perspectives. You've got Rosemary, who's an 80-year-old woman who visits her local Lido. She's visited it ever since she was a child. You know, she met her husband, well, she didn't meet him there, but they had like their first dates there, and they grew together, and they've always just gone to this Lido. And then you've got Kate, who is a young journalist living in the same town of Brixton, and she is tasked with doing an article on the Lido because some big hotshot developers want to go and build on the Lido and turn it into a private members only gym facility, and they want to tarmac up the pool. So it follows Kate meeting Rosemary, finding out, you know, why it's so special to her, and doing an article on this paper, on this Lido, for the paper. And what's surprising to her is how much of a friendship she builds up with Rosemary, and I think it's really lovely, and together they end up trying to save the Lido. Kate realises how much this means to Rosemary. She's seen how it's played such a big part in other people's lives, and it also becomes a place of sort of safety for Kate as well. Kate suffers with panic attacks, and I think that was shown really well within the book. I think it was portrayed well how, you know, they can come out of nowhere seemingly from, you may not even know how that they've started. And dotted throughout about the first half of the book, I'd say, or first 3/4, you get tiny little chapters of other people that visit the Lido or have something to do with the Lido, whether they work there or go and swim there. So you've got like someone who is pregnant and she's going in with her baby. Later on we find out she goes back with her baby out of the womb now, and you've got the guy that works at reception who's going through his exams, and you've got, you know, like the business broker who goes there to try and get away, and to everyone you get tiny snippets from their little stories, and it just really helps to build the overall sense of community that surrounds this Lido, and how the characters develop. I really liked the character development in Kate and also in Rosemary as well. I think they both bring out sort of the best in each other, and yeah, I really enjoyed this book. I don't want to go too much into it because I don't want to spoil the plot line, but I really enjoyed it. I think the actual author of this book is fairly young. I was reading in the back, she wrote it whilst working in marketing and moonlighting as a writer, but she looks fairly young. And apparently this book has been given film rights, so we may see a film about this one day. I don't know if I'd like it as much in a film, but I really liked reading the book and connecting with the characters. So that was sort of like the surprise book of the month that I didn't think I'd enjoy as much as I did. So those are the 3 books I've read this month. I'm currently haven't decided what I am reading next, but I thought I'd film this video so it will be up right towards the end of the month. And yeah, let me know what you've been reading this month. If you've got any recommendations, leave me a comment down below. Do you want to try any of these books? Have you read them? Let me know what you think, and I will see you in my next video. Bye guys!